Now that you're at 75, man, is the goal to pursue the winner of Beterbiev Bivol and fight for those titles? Is that the main goal now?
Yeah, definitely. And to be honest with you, I feel like I'm only worried about 175. I'm not coming back down to 168.
At this point in Benavidez's career, being at 168 would be dangerous for him because he would be literally draining himself. When he was younger, he was a super middleweight. He was a bigger super middleweight. When he was like 23, 24, 25, that's when he was a weight bully. Now he's 27. He can no longer healthily make 168. So he will risk losing on the counterband weight drain if he try to go back down to super middleweight.
I'm starting to get used to 175. I'm building more muscle, and I just turned 28, so I'm starting to get in my prime now. So I feel like this is the lane I'm gonna stay in. I don't care about nothing else. And my main objective is to beat David Morell, beat him, and to put a beating on him, and then go up and then face whoever's next.
If David Morell uses his footwork, if he uses the Cuban boxing style, he can beat David Benavidez. But I want Benavidez to win because I think Benavidez could beat Bivol and he has a chance against Beterbiev. I don't think David Morell could beat either of those guys because of a lack of experience, and stylistically, I don't think he has what it takes.
I think we were ranked number one in the spot to fight the winner. Better be a Bivol. So if that's what it is, then I'm 100% ready for that as well.
Bivol has a style where he's always going to tire out against volume punchers or heavy-handed fighters with a lot of pressure because Bivol relies primarily on his legs. So once guys start putting that pressure on him, his own movement along with him getting hit is going to make him tire out. So Benavidez would beat Bivol. But Beterbiev, the fact that Benavidez is such an aggressive fighter, he's going to have to trade with Beterbiev. And I don't think he's going to be able to take what Beterbiev is throwing. Just like Bivol couldn't take it.
Fight, it doesn't make as much money as the Canelo fight would have made at 68 if you guys could have made that fight happen, but it does mean an awful lot in terms of proving you're a great fighter. Is that good enough for you?
Yeah, definitely. And I think just, with these big fights, I'm able to build my brand more and more.
David Benavidez is a get it out the mud type fighter. He's building his name based off of what he does in the ring, his fighting style. He's not really super charismatic, not the best trash talker, but he's been in there with big names like Caleb Plant, and he's demolished them. He also had Canelo on the run for like 5 or 6 years now. That Canelo fight not happening, that set David back, but David has the right mentality. He's just going to get in there at 175 and try to beat all the top guys and continue to get his career out the mud like he's been doing since he came on the scene. And remember, Benavidez is a guy with no real amateur accolades.
Kind of like Canelo did with his career. He went up, he's beating bigger fighters, and if I don't make that, if I don't get that Canelo fight, I really don't care.
Canelo has had a lot of legacy fights. He has fought a lot of top competition, but Canelo did not get it out the mud. Canelo was getting offers from Floyd Mayweather at 21 years old. He fought Floyd at 23. Canelo was a guy that they always was going to market to be one of the faces of boxing. Now he's good enough to carry that mantle, but Benavidez is totally different from Canelo. Benavidez is a straight get it out the mud, no machine backing him, no promotion backing him. You know what I mean? No media attention, nothing. He's just somebody that goes in there, handles business, and that's how he's built his name. And Benavidez has convinced himself that he doesn't care about the Canelo fight because he knows he's never going to get it. But he does care, and he wanted that fight, and that fight would have changed his life, changed his legacy, and changed the way that the entire world views him. Because of that fight, he would have stopped Canelo.
I'm really happy where I'm at in my career. I'm happy with the opportunities I'm getting, and it's just proving myself that I'm the best fighter in the world at whatever weight class I'm at.
Does that almost feel good to let go of that Canelo fight and move on now, move
Yeah,
forward?
yeah, it definitely does. I just feel bad for the people because the people are missing an awesome fight. And at the end of the day, this is what we're here for, just to give the people a good fight. So it's insane that that fight never happened because, it's two of the biggest, it's one of the biggest fights in boxing to make. So it's kind of messed up that we couldn't make it happen for the fans, but it is what it is.
A lot of people don't understand this when it comes to boxing fans. When boxing fans love a fighter, they don't want him to go against somebody that they think could hurt him. Like Ali fans were telling him, please, please don't fight George Foreman. Canelo fans deep down, They don't want him to fight David Benavidez because they don't want to see Canelo get hurt. They don't want to see him get knocked out. They want to remember him as the great Canelo of old, the great conqueror that they know and love him for. And that's the real reason why that fight didn't happen, because there were no fans really putting pressure on Canelo because they love him so much. They don't want to see, one hair get hurt from his pretty little head.
Do you think he'd ever fight you at 75?
It's Canelo here. No, I no fight at 7'5". If I go to 7'5", I fight Bivol. That's it. I no fight Benavidez at 300 pounds. If I go to 7'5", I fight Bivol. And I say I is scared or nothing. It's just no.
I don't know. I don't know. I thought he was gonna fight me at 168, and now I'm at 175. I don't think so.
Who's the more difficult style matchup for you, Beterbiev or Bivol?
To be honest with you, bro.
Benavidez has been whooping Bivol's ass in sparring multiple times. Bivol struggles with aggressive fighters. Beterbiev, on the other hand, he brings it every single fight, and Benavidez has never been hit by a man that size with that type of power. So Beterbiev's style is the more difficult. Benavidez wants to show respect to both combatants because he respects them, but also he doesn't want to pick Beterbiev because he wants to keep a mental edge over Beterbiev. He wants to believe that he could beat him. But he knows that Beterbiev is the more dangerous fight. He's never been in the ring with Beterbiev in sparring or in a fight, and he sees the power that that man has.
Those guys at the pinnacle of light heavyweight, they're the iron fucking champions at the weight class. I give them so much respect, both of them. They're two different fighters. Beterbiev is the strong coming in. He's like a fucking tank trying to knock you out. But there's room for him to be outboxed. Just honestly, I thought Bivol beat him.
Can Beterbiev be outboxed? Yes, but it would take a fighter on the level of Muhammad Ali to do something like that, on the level of Alexander Usyk. I don't think Benavidez has the footwork to outbox Beterbiev. Now, did Bivol beat Beterbiev? Hell no. In the exchanges, the meaningful exchanges, Beterbiev won. In the championship rounds, Bivol was completely gassed. After the 6th round, Bivol was getting beat around the ring at different points in the fight. His ring generalship was horrible. Beterbiev had better defense, and he had better offense. He was consistently coming in behind the jab and landing hard power punches.
I thought Bivol beat him, and I thought he beat him convincingly.
A lot of these guys have been fighting for so long, but they never studied the sport of boxing, and they don't know how to score a fight. There's no way Bivol beat Beterbiev when Bivol was a heavy bag on a bike from like rounds 7 to round 11. There's no way that you win. In the championship rounds, Bivol looked horrible.
You could beat that fighter. I feel like with Bivol, you have to pressure more. And you have to throw way more combinations. You can't just throw hooks, right hooks or left hooks. You have to be really intelligent with your combinations. So both of them, you have to fight two different ways. But whoever we fight, bro, we have to be 100% ready. And I would definitely be ready, and it would be an amazing fight with both those guys.
I believe the main reason that Benavidez is going to be ready is because he's been sparring guys like Triple G since he was 14. His experience level is off the charts, but also because at light heavyweight, he's going to be a lot more comfortable. He's no longer draining himself. So he's going to be as strong as he possibly can be, and he's getting closer to 30, so that grown man strength is starting to develop.
Have you been studying both of them now more than ever since you're in
Well,
planning?
that's why I took this fight, no problem, because when we were waiting for that, I thought that they had made me ranked me, or I mean, I was #1 contender, but because that fight ended in such the way it did, you have to give it the respect it deserves to let it be a rematch. So once they were giving me a few other names to fight, and I'm like, man, I'm not interested in any of those fights. I mean, I want the big fights. And if we can't get anybody big, then we're gonna make a big fight out of a person that has a belt and he talks a lot of shit. So that's kind of the route we went. And this is a fight people been wanting to watch too for a long time. So
when he says people, he's talking about actual boxing fans that follow the sport, week in and week out. Casual fans do not know that this fight is about to go down. This fight is going to be one of the best fights we've seen in probably 10 years. I'm telling you, both of these men are in their primes. They both have it out for each other. And they're the only ones who are chasing. Morell has chased Benavidez He chased him from 168 all the way up to light heavyweight. He literally said, if Benavidez goes up, I'm going up. Benavidez could be like everybody else and say, no, this dude doesn't have enough experience and all. But the fact that Benavidez can't get the big fights he wants, he's still trying to take on challenging opponents, and he's risking his O on his record unnecessarily against a guy that's not even a popular guy. This is the equivalent of like Usyk or somebody actually fighting Martin Bakole. You know what I mean? This is going to be a very, very dangerous fight for both guys and a very great fight for actual boxing fans.
Like now is the best time to make the fight when me and David Morell happen. But it's just in my mentality, I'm just ready to fight the best. I don't care who it is, and I'm ready. I'm 100% ready to face whoever it is now.
Rarely do you have a fighter like a David Benavidez, like an Errol Spence, who will actually take less money in order to fight the best. These are throwback fighters. They have something to prove and to show, not only to themselves, but to the fans. Guys like Tank and Canelo, they're not ready to fight the best. They're only ready to fight the best under certain circumstances. And that's just the truth of the matter. Whereas a dude like David Benavidez, he's going to create the circumstance. He's going to create the atmosphere to where as though he can fight the best and give the fans the best show possible.
Yeah, was part of taking the Morell fight, like, I gotta prove a point here. I can't cry about Canelo wanting to not fight me and then not give the young guy they're saying I don't want to fight that fight.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be a fucking hypocrite.
Right.
That's what I said. And it wasn't that I wasn't giving him the opportunity. It's just that, to be honest with you, Caleb was a bigger fight than him. Boo Boo was a bigger fight than him. And then coming up to 75, when I came up, he came up right behind me. So it was perfect because he got his belt and I got my belt. And that's what I'm saying. Now is the perfect time to make this fight happen.
So now is the perfect time for me to break his fucking face. Because he came up and I came up and now his face is going to get broke up. But Benavidez, seriously though, he's literally doing the opposite of what Canelo did. Floyd gave Canelo a chance to be great. Floyd didn't have to give Canelo that opportunity. But Canelo already had some sort of a name, so it was a money fight as well, but still. Benavidez said he didn't want to be a hypocrite, and he wanted to give a guy with a lesser name a chance to really fight him, a dangerous guy. So Benavidez is losing money because nobody knows who David Morell is. And even though David Morell talks a bunch of shit, all the shit that he talks is in Spanish, so nobody can really understand him. So there's no upside really of fighting David Morell monetarily. But this is going to end up being a legacy fight, I promise you, because it's going to be fireworks.
Just back to Beterbiev for a second. The last time I think you really were the back foot guy against a guy trying to pressure you was the Bivol rematch, right? And so are you saying, with Beterbiev, it's not just rock'em sock'em, it's not just a head-on collision. That's a guy you bring that out of your bag for.
Well, the thing about that is once you're a power puncher, you're always looking for the power punch, no matter if you're boxing or not. So me, I'm not a pity pat fighter. You know what I mean? If I'm moving, it's because I can't stay there, because I'll be taking too much unnecessary punishment. Against a guy like Beterbiev, it shows that you can't do that. You know what I mean? So they have to be intelligent. But as of me, that's what I'm saying. I try to inflict as much damage as possible.
Benavidez has the boxing IQ, the strategy, and the realism to understand that he's not going to be able to go about fighting Beterbiev like how he's fought everyone else. He already knows he's going to have to box and move. The thing is, when you haven't been using your legs, they're not going to be as great as they should be. They're not going to be as developed as they should be. Your footwork isn't going to be top of the line because you don't use it fight after fight. Usually, Benavidez goes in there, puts his high guard up, and walk guys down, bully him, especially at 168 because he had a size advantage. He also is a volume puncher. Now you're going to try to do something different than what you're used to doing, and I don't think it's going to work because it's not even just about moving around against Beterbiev because of the power. It's about how much stamina you have when your legs are hurting, when you've been hit to the body, and your legs don't feel how they felt in the first round. How much stamina do you have? How good is your punch resistance? Muhammad Ali was great at taking shots and still being able to bounce on his toes. Do I see that out of David Benavidez? Honestly, I don't.
Whoever it is, and if you've seen the second Graville fight, y'all was beating the fuck out of Graville. And I was 21 years old, so I mean, this is like 8 years later, so I could box, I could do everything, you know what I mean? So it's just putting the right game plan. I feel like at the end of the day, it's not really about what style you have, it's about what style you could present and get ready for whoever fighter it is. Because at the end of the day, it's all in the brain, you know.
As long as Benavidez leans more towards the cerebral aspect of boxing, he's going to become better and better. Early in his career, he leaned more towards the physical aspect, the volume punching, outsizing his opponents, outstrengthening his opponents, and just having more grit than his opponents. But now that he's talking about thinking and boxing, he's only going to grow as a fighter, and he will have a legitimate chance of beating Beterbiev and definitely Bivol.
It's really, you can't fight everybody the same. You have to do different stuff for every single fighter.
I'm not gonna lie, David. I really love the Beterbiev fight from a style and action standpoint.
That's Sean Zattel speaking, and I agree, Sean. I love the fight as well because both of these guys are bruisers in the ring. Both of these guys come to do maximum damage. So even though Benavidez is talking about becoming a boxer, once he gets hit, he's gonna want to hit Beterbiev, and I think he's gonna get stopped if he cannot get away from his natural inclination to hurt guys. He will get stopped against Beterbiev. So he's talking all this stuff about boxing and moving and being smart, but he's gonna have to change his DNA in real time in a fight with Beterbiev if he really wants to win.
But you thought Bivol beat him the first time. Do you think Beterbiev at he's probably going to be 40, I believe, when they fight? Is he going to win that rematch, or do you think Bivol? I think you already said if they don't rob Bivol again, he'll win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if Bivol does the same game plan, I think he wins. And now because they got the AI fucking thing, I don't.
Because now they got the fucking AI, the Allen Iverson thingy, the Benavidez. You could tell that motherfucker wasn't even going to school. He was just boxing. But as far as Beterbiev and Bivol, if the AI is gonna be at that fight, the AI is gonna show Benavidez and everybody that Beterbiev's work rate is what's winning him the fight. He's landing more punches. Bivol was completely inactive in the second half of the fight because he was fatigued from the power shots that he was taking. Also because he has a style that relies heavy on his legs. So it's like a double whammy. You're moving around and you're getting hit while you're moving around. Also, Beterbiev Bivol didn't get robbed. He just lost. He simply lost. And if he fights Beterbiev again, he's going to get knocked out because Beterbiev knows that Bivol can't really hurt him now. So he's going to be even more aggressive in those early rounds.
Fights that way, I think he wins again.
Well, that kind of sucks for you. Then that means you got to wait for a third fight before you fight for the light heavyweight title.
What do you mean?
Like, if Bivol wins, then that means it's a trilogy, and then you got to wait another 6 to 8 months before you could fight for the light heavyweight title.
I didn't think about that, but I mean, it is.
Wait, so what do you fucking mean? If Beterbiev won the first fight and Bivol wins the second fight, then I'm gonna have to wait for the third fight. What do you mean? Like, once again, Benavidez, he wasn't even going to school. That motherfucker was just boxing. But there you have it. David Benavidez is getting ready for David Morell. But I think he has to be a little bit more focused because he's looking past David Morell a little bit. That's what I hear from this interview. You got to be very serious about Morell because Morell has footwork, something that you don't have. Morell's strength is your weakness. Just like your strength with your aggression and your volume punching, that's Morell's weakness. Morell can't throw that many punches, hard punches, and take that many shots like how you can. But you don't have the footwork and the angles that he has. So you got to not put the cart before the horse. Also, as far as Bivol and Beterbiev, I don't know why this man thinks Bivol won. A lot of people seem to think Bivol won. I think it's because of the replays. The replays show Bivol's best work, but Bivol was getting manhandled across the ring. Beterbiev had better defense, better structure. He was more effectively aggressive. You know what I mean? And he had better ring generalship. Bivol was visibly tired, losing balance. You know what I mean? His legs was giving out on him. That's not a champion. That's not a championship performance. If Bivol fights Beterbiev again, Bivol will most likely get stopped because Beterbiev knows that Bivol can't hurt him. But ultimately, this is pretty much the end of the interview. David Benavidez, he's showing that he's growing as a fighter. He's talking about the cerebral game plan. He's not just talking about putting his opponents in the hospital and breaking their fucking face and stuff like that. Of course, he's still going to have elements of that in his game. But the more patience he has, the more footwork he has, the better setups he has, the more success he's going to have. Because as you go up that level, you need to be more and more tricky with your offensive setups. You have to have better defense to make sure you're taking less damage. Because you got guys like Beterbiev out there with crazy power. So you're not going to be able to just walk him down. And he's in a bigger weight class now with bigger guys. So the weight advantage that he had is nowhere near what it was. So he's going to have better punch technique, better timing. if he wants to have the same impact that he once had on his opponents at the lighter weight class. As far as Canelo slowed this man's career down greatly by refusing to fight him. But Benavidez is a real champion, somebody that really wants to put his name and etch out his own legacy. So he's going to fight whoever he has to fight and beat everybody that's willing to fight him to show that, once again, he's a get-it-out-the-mud type of fighter and that he's one of the best at his generation. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man.